Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Learn with @AWS 6. In this video, you are going to learn about how to find a path of domain with the help of the AWS Route53. What we are going to cover in this session: basic concept of domain and routing. What is a Route53? How to migrate a domain from one provider to AWS? How to set up Outlook or Gmail in Route53. Let's understand what is mean of finding route means. Take a look at the pictures. It says a source and destination. To reach from the source to destination, we have to take various turns and we have to follow a various sign like take a left, take a right, go straight. So that is about the finding a route. So finding a route means to go from source to destination, follow all the symbols and rules. Similar way, a domain routing also works. Before that, let's understand the basic terminology. Domain. Domain is nothing but the identification of your website. If you have website name www.example.com, it treat as the identification of the domain. It is a similar like you have a house and you have house and build it on land. So house will have particular the identification number, that is house number. Similar way, a website will have a one identification number or identification value that is called a domain name. Next is name server. Name server, it is a kind of a domain name server system. The part of the it's server component of the domain name system. Okay, you can see the picture, right? What is the value of name server? It is treated like NS101 hosting cosmo.com or maybe NS1 domain control.com. The name of the value will be like similar. It will start from the NS, the random number will be there. Then who are the provider, the identification of particular provider will be there. Based on the GoDaddy, based on the Google Cloud, based on the AWS, or maybe the domain jet, it will work. That is called name server. And name server value controlled across the domain name systems. Next is a DNS or NS record. So these tables give you a list of the record set which is available. So A record, it represents a mapping of domain name to IP version 4 addresses. AA represent a mapping a domain name to IP version 6 address. CNAME is a canonical name. It is represent a redirection of domain to another without URL change. And NS record, as we see, the list of the authoritative NS records, list of the authoritative name server records. MX record. MX record is a mail server record. It will provide a list of the mail server that received a mail on behalf of a domain. Like if you want to configure your custom domain under the Gmail or Outlook, right? Then Gmail or Outlook will provide a list of the server to update, and that server can update in your MX record. That we will see in later in the session how to do that. Next is SOA, a start of authority record. It provides important details about a DNS zone. It is a by default record whenever you create a domain name server or hosted zone in AWS or anywhere else, right? It is by default created records. Next is the PTR, means pointer. It resolves the IP version 4 or IP version 6 addresses to domain name, and it treats as a reverse record of A or AA. Last one is the TXT. It is provide any type of descriptive information in text format. This will generally use when you have to do any third-party integration, and that time, or maybe you need any add pixel you have to integrate. That time, to authorize the domain or cloud provider, they will give one text file value that has to submit under your cloud provider routing or maybe domain management system, and that will verify by the providers. And there are many several record types are available, but these are the major record types available in DNS record. Next is the DNS lookup. DNS lookup table is one of the lookup table. It's like a kind of a data storage where entry for each domain is available under each record types. So like A record will be have IP address or maybe the endpoint. C name will have a redirection of domain name. Okay, MS record will have a list of MS record, mail server entry. Similar, each record will have each entries. DNS resolver query to DNS lookup to find out IP address or a record of a particular domain. Take an example, I'm pinging a domain like www.avinashdavi.com in your terminal. What will come? It will come the either IP address or maybe the endpoint. So now current my domain is pointed to endpoint. So it is returning the endpoint of the cloud front. But in a bracket, you can see the IP address is coming. That is what the lookup. So when you try to resolve the particular domain, it will return back to the IP address or the particular endpoint of the domain. That is called a DNS lookup. So that is this. Now we understand the basics of the domain and routing. Let's understand and imagine the earlier picture what I have shown for the source session and compare that picture with this picture. Okay, here you can see the source will be when you hit a domain in your browser, that is a source, and destination will be what browser serves as a page, a web page, that is a destination. But to reach from the hitting the domain name in a browser and serving the pages in a browser, how have to go to through? Okay, so that will start from the first domain. Will look for the local lookup table. Local lookup table generally will available in /etc/host file. Okay, that will check whether is any entry available for particular domain or not. If no, then next level it's go to try to find out internet service provider, that's called ISP. ISP will return back the all the record entry like IP and maybe the endpoint of particular thing. And based on the endpoint or IP, it will route check in a particular Route 53. And then it will try to find out whether the particular domain is pointing to EC2 server or SC bucket or load balancer or API gateway endpoint. Any of the them, or maybe it can be a cloud front endpoint also. So it try to find out whether the particular things in pointing to which of the things. Okay, we'll in demo we'll see that what are the endpoints are available when you add the A record type. Now let's talk about what is the AWS Route 53. AWS Route 53 name itself says that okay, 53 is a kind of port of the network port, and route says that a finding of a route. Okay, that is what the AWS name use a Route 53. Route 53 provide a multiple binding. Like you can see in the circle, right? Circle around Route 53 load balancer, S3 endpoint, amplify, EC2 server, CloudFront, and API gateway. So Route53 provide these are the integration endpoint. So Route53 is a service provider to map particular domain to the particular services. That's about the Route53. It resolves the particular domain and map to the respective endpoint. That is the job of the Route53. It stores the record of all the record type like A record, MS record, TXT file, PTR, C name. So this is one of the service provider of AWS. Now, how to transfer a domain to AWS Route 53? There are various steps. Like first, create a hosted zone in your Route 53. Then copy that NS record from the created hosted zone. Then you can log into that particular domain service provider and update that copied NS record into doc. that is the very simplest step to do it. Okay, so so it can be anything, like when you're updating the particular record type in now either GoDaddy, Google Cloud, or with Bluehost, or with domain set. It depends upon what domain server provider you are using it. Okay, but after updation, it may take a time like 48 hours or to 72 hours. Okay, depend upon the reflections and how much fast the ISP provider resolve that particular domain. Next is how to set up the Outlook and the Gmail in Route53. So steps is like select hosted zone, then create a record. Once you create a record, it will ask you to which record type you are to use it. A record, MS record, CNA, but here you will use a MS record because MS record binding towards the mail server list. Select MS record, then select the value route object to IP address or another value, depend upon the record types. Once you select that one, it will ask you to add a value in a particular text box. In the text box, copy the value which is shown in this box, like 1 aspmx.l.google.com. These are very standard value which you have to copy, which you can get from the Google and copy to the particular text box. Similar way, Outlook also will give a list of the mail server. That mail server we can copy it and paste it to this one. Now we have understand the concept and what the about Route 53, how to transfer one domain to another domain, and how to set up the Outlook and Gmail. Let's have a walkthrough on the Route 53 console, how it looks, what are the functionalities available. After login, we have landed to the Route53 console. You can find out in a search bar of the service, or once you come to the dashboard of the AWS, you will easily find out the Route53 console. So this is how the Route53 console look like. When you come to the Route53, right, it will show the dashboard. It will give the DNS management, how many hosted zones are available, any traffic management policy you have created, or any domain or purchase you have done from the Route53. So from the Route53, you can purchase a domain also similar the way you purchase a domain from the Google Cloud or maybe the GoDaddy. Okay, and here you can have a domain health check also, but the domain health check is particularly on healthy or not. And here you can find out any registered domain is available to purchase or not. So now we'll go to the hosted zone. Clicking on the hosted zone, either clicking in here or the clicking on the here. Let's go to the hosted zone. Once you click on the hosted zone, you can see the list of the hosted zone which is created, and you can create a new hosted zone also there. Okay, it's already I have a 2 domain listed here, and you can see the 2 hosted zone is available. Let's create a hosted zone. So if I want to transfer a particular domain from the GoDaddy to here, right? So first step I'll do it. I'll create a hosted zone. I'll put suppose particular one example of AWS training. I'm taking one of the example, and then I'll use the public hosted zone, and I'll create a hosted zone here. Once I create a hosted zone, automatically 2 records will get updated here. You can see one is NS record as a name server. The list of the server has to update it. And second one is the SOE. That is the state of the authority, which I shown, right? It is a by default record set created whenever you create a hosted zone. Then we have to copy this value and paste it into the particular domain provider. If you are using the GoDaddy, Google Cloud, or Bluehost, you can copy, you go to the domain management system, open the particular domain, and you can copy this value and paste it there. Okay, you have to, but make sure that you take a backup of the existing record, or maybe take a screenshot of the existing record. If anything wrong happen, you can revert back to that. And after updating that value, it takes 48 to 72 hours to update across all the ISPs. Now, once you create this record, right, and suppose if you have already transferred to domain here, then you can create a record for the A record. Here, the options are the simple routing, wait, geolocation, multi-web answer, failover, latency. We are going to only talk about now simple routing here, not much aware about the other services. Let's talk about the simple routing. So when you click on simple routing, you can just define the simple record, and there you can mention it. Now, if you want to do a www, then you can type a www. If you don't want to do www, then you keep it blank, right? And record type, you can find out the record type which we have learned just now, like A record, AAA, CNAME, MS record, TXT, PTR, SRV, SPF. SPF is one of the record type which is available for spoofing. So particular a mail is landing to the spoof mail or maybe the spam, right? Through verification of particular domain, generally mail server provider can give a SPF record to updating the hosting server, and it is available in TXT record form. So now, example of A record, like example, you can see here the A record say choose when routing traffic to either is the EC2, API gateway, VPC endpoint, CloudFront, Elastic, ELB, SC, or any IP address. So let's select the A record. When you select the A record, you will have option to value route app traffic to. It will show okay which endpoint you have to use it. Either you have to use the IP address, alias to another records zone. So if that you can point it to another record in another hosted zone also. Alias to the API gateway endpoint, AppSync domain name, CloudFront distribution, Elastic Beanstalk, application and load balancer, network load balancer, Google accelerator, S3 website endpoint, VPC endpoint. So if you select the IP address and another value, it will ask you IP address or maybe the domain name which you want to use it. If you select a CloudFront distribution, it will ask you to choose the particular distribution. But before we selecting the CloudFront distribution, we have to make sure that this particular domain name CloudFront entry should be available. So if CloudFront entry is not available, it will not give an option to select it, because CloudFront entry generally it asks for the CNAME, and it matches the CNAME with the particular record and provide the respective CloudFront entry. Similar for the load balancer and the other part also. It depend upon the matching the domain name. If you select to the SC website endpoint, it will ask you to which region you have to select it. Like take example, US1, then it asks you for the record. But if you say no record found, why? Because there is no bucket created for particular domain. If the bucket was created for particular domain, it will automatically list it. This is about the value of the MS record. Let's find out the value of the Google Mail server. I got the value. I have copied from the text file. You can see here the values here. Like this is the priority 1, 5, 5, 10, and 10 like that. And this is the particular records. And it's very standard record which we have to create it. And then you can set this to 500 and define the simple records here. It will get the created. The record has been created here. So this is a way generally if you want to use your custom domain under your Gmail or Outlook, you can just create the record, MS record, and copy paste the values here. It will start automatically reflecting your Gmail account. Then you can start using it like abc@example.com similar way. So that's about this session, and in this session I think hope you learn informative things, and hope you enjoy the session. Thank you very much, and if you like my session, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Link is given here, and thank you very much.